Let's face it, you're starting a brand and you're looking to have the highest profit margins possible. This means that you're looking to cut your manufacturing costs as much as you can, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that new brand owners make. In fact, this oftentimes leads you into sourcing overseas, having to place thousands of dollars worth of product orders in order to get your costs low enough to be able to profit, but it's the wrong approach. So in this video, I want to talk about the one decision that will make the difference between being able to profit $10 a sale or upwards of $40 on every single transaction. And it has nothing to do with the manufacturing. In fact, this decision is one of the biggest ones you'll make as you're starting your brand, because everything else from manufacturing to the supplies to the tools will come after this. But I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to actually show you what this means behind the scenes. So I flew out to Louisiana, where we actually met up with a factory that's quietly proving this business model. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to pick a product mix that puts you in the high margin tier. And I'm also showing you the exact facility floor where this decision plays out. So what is that one decision? It's the decision between choosing an audience before a product. What does this mean? If you're starting a brand, chances are you're very passionate about something. You really like a certain niche or a certain industry, a certain style. You really gravitate towards it. And you're so gravitated towards it that you got tunnel vision. Maybe you try to understand everything you can about it. But the one thing you don't factor in is how big that market is and where you fit within it. Let me show you something just to explain. Now, right in front of me, we have this pie chart. At the top, we have total addressable market. This is for the Christian streetwear niche. I know a lot of you guys want to start within that niche, and we have a brand example here that's a perfect depiction of what this means. We have Elevated Faith, which is a brand that actually started from the ground up and has an incredible story, and today they're selling millions of dollars worth of products, all because they made a decision to start with understanding who their audience was. Now, the more you can understand your audience, the more you can bundle products, the more you can do certain price points. Because if you enter the wrong market, even if you want to sell a $100 product, if that market isn't willing to pay for it, you're working yourself backwards and you're having a discount until you realize you have no margin within that sale. So let's bring it back to this pie chart to show you how this breaks down. Now, when it comes to entering a market, it's important that you understand the total addressable market. How big is the pie? So for the faith-based brands, this is $3.2 billion. Now, a level below that is a serviceable addressable market. These are the people that are in the market to buy a certain style that you're looking to sell, as well as shop online versus going into stores and going somewhere else. So this is more relatable to your brand. Now, in the center is a serviceable obtainable market. This is essentially the dollar amount that your brand can generate within the first 3 years. You're targeting about $500,000 in 3 years. And right now you may be wondering, how do these numbers break down? Well, I want to actually show you how we got to this math, because it's very important that you consider this before entering a market. Now, when it comes to Elevated Faith, total addressable market for Christian-based apparel is $3.2 billion. The serviceable addressable market, you break this down by understanding how big the Christian population is as a whole. It's around 210 million in the US. And then if you dial that down more and actually think about the people that are 18 to 34 who you may be targeting with your brand, that actually breaks it down to about 57 million. You're then going to slice it to people that want a streetwear style of brand. This becomes 15% of that market, which brings you to 8.5 million people that you can actually serve. And let's say they buy 2 products per year, with an average order cart of $60, or you're looking at about $510 million that your brand can actually capture, right? So we're talking about TAM, now we're talking about SAM, and the serviceable obtainable market is essentially the number that you're starting with from zero. You actually building this brand. In the year 1 scenario, let's say you build your social following to 30,000 followers. From that, you're gonna convert 3 to 5% in the first year, which is pretty common for anybody that's actually viewing your content and going to your stores. It means you're gonna have anywhere between 900 to 1,500 customers in that first year, with an average order value of 45 because you're launching maybe a t-shirt and a hoodie. Your year 1 is anywhere between 40 to 67,000. Now, this is important to note because these are your targets that you should have. And in a year 3 scenario, if your audience grew to 150,000 and you had a 5% conversion and a $50 average order volume, then essentially what you're bringing in is that 562,000. Now, by year 3, you have proved out the market. That's the beauty about starting a brand. A lot of times people want to see those millions overnight, and it's just not realistic. But if you think about the way that a brand actually grows, it grows in this manner. So let's take it over to Josh and ask how he selects his market.
So what I like to do, and one of the mistakes I used to make, was I would always try to find a product and sell it to a group of people. And I realized that I was doing that backwards, whereas what I really needed to do was find an audience and give them what they wanted. So that was the same thing with weddings. Like, if a person's getting married, they're going to buy wedding items. If a person's about to have a baby, they're going to buy baby items. If you're trying to sell a baby item to somebody that doesn't have a baby, that's gonna be kind of hard to do, right? And so that's why I went for an audience first, and an audience where that person is in the market to buy at that time. And so the timing and the audience is more important than anything else, in my opinion.
It begins by understanding your target audience as much as you humanly can. This means really understanding how they buy, why they buy, what they buy, how frequently they buy, and how much are they willing to spend. So by better understanding these numbers, you're now able to actually launch strategically versus launching at a high price and then trying to market to command that price and nobody buying your products. This is what Josh had to say about this example when it came to him starting his brand.
So a lot of people get into what I would say the cool products, the things that everybody else wants. And usually whenever you go with that strategy, your margins aren't going to be very well. If you're trying to sell a t-shirt or a hat, everyone else is too, right? And so for me, I was like, what items can I find that I know people are buying, regularly, but also the margins on these are really good. You were just buying an item for $3, selling it for $20. The margins there were great, especially if you're selling 5 at a time, right? I took that approach because it was easy to get these items and I knew that my margins were gonna be high. I didn't have to try to nickel and dime on every little margin that I could. It was like, if I get to sell, I'm making money.
And that's an important point as well, guys, because a lot of times people ask, hey, when it comes to print on demand, I don't have the best margin, so what can I do to actually be profitable? I gotta sell 100 t-shirts to make $1,000, right? Because I only got a $10 profit margin. But what he just mentioned is the products that have a high margin and a low cost. That just means that obviously if you have a brand, you got to be able to brand it right and market it right, which is why AI today makes it easier than ever to market your brand, but then having the right target audience that's going to want that product is key.
For me, I thought weddings was probably the best bet because I looked up the average wedding has 5 groomsmen, 5 bridesmaids, and so that's 5 items every single time you get a purchase versus 1, right? So it's 5 times the average order value. And then in the United States, I looked up, there's 2 million weddings a year. Basically do the math there, that's over 5,000 a day.
Notice that he didn't start with a facility. He started with the decision to solve a specific problem to a specific audience. This gap is how your brand actually wins. And for him, it meant having to move 6 different times before landing in the one that he has today.
First laser I wanted to get to engrave some items was like an 18-week lead time.
Oh, you had an 18-week lead time to make products?
Well, no, to get the first laser though.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't want to wait 18 weeks, so I bought some parts, a little Arduino board, and put together
your own laser.
my own laser.
Still, it's the one that you started the business with. How much money did that laser make you?
Total was about $130 that it cost me to make everything. Some say $130 to make it. I'm gonna say it made me $10,000.
$10,000.
Yeah,
so from $100 to $10,000. A lot of times people ask, hey, when it comes to print on demand, I don't have the best margins, so what can I do to actually be profitable? I got to sell 100 t-shirts to make $1,000, right? Because they only got a $10 profit margin. But what he just mentioned is the products that have a high margin and a low cost. That just means that obviously if you have a brand, you got to be able to brand it right and market it right, which is why there's AI today makes it easier than ever to market your brand, but then having the right target audience that's going to want that product is key. So making sure that your target audience is open to buying the products that you're looking to sell and make. And sometimes they may not be only wanting to make t-shirts. They may want other products. They may want some accessory pieces because they already have favorite clothing brands, but they don't have this favorite other accessory item that your brand may sell. And if you can sell them one thing and get them into your ecosystem, now you can upsell them into the apparel and merch and everything else you have as well. Now, as you can see, they make a variety of different products because there isn't a one size fits all all. This means that no brand is the same. By being able to bundle certain products together and kit them together in a way where you can command better prices, this is how your profit margins actually grow. Now, if we take a look at Elevated Faith as an example brand, you can see how they bundle different products, they create custom jewelry, they truly understand who their audience is, so they're able to bring a unique product mix to the table. And this is really where Completeful is competing on. They're not just making the standard DTG products, they're also helping you create product lines that will help you enhance your profit margins. For example, this jewelry piece, $7. I think somebody sells it for $40. And when it comes to personalization, you're able to compete in a lane that very few others can.
If you're doing personalized items like I was, one, you can't be that demanding. You can say, I want this name this way, on the item, but no one's going to return it. Or you can't return it because
Personalized.
put your name, your wedding date, your last name, on the side. So that was also a benefit, because before I'd done a lot of different swimwear. Even if you did make money, everybody was returning everything, and you're trying to ship more. Logistically, you just, at the end of the day, it was like I put in all this work. I did sell some items, but I feel like I haven't made any money because everybody's returning.
As the storefront grew, they also grew their manufacturing capabilities to include woodworking by making cutting boards, charcuterie boards, and even custom frames. They also have the ability to cut into sheet metal, the signs that you see in homes and garages or at bars. These are all things that you're able to make, but they're all very unique products for a specific customer.
Custom boxes, we make those over there in the wood department, and it's just it's basically that upsell that we were talking about earlier. Taking the groomsmen item, a flask, and saying, what can I do to offer this at a higher price?
If you go to Etsy and it's like, yo, the custom flask is $15, but it's a custom flask with a custom box, this makes it $45. Now, when it comes to the math on how this breaks down, well, if you're just selling a one-off product like this flask here, it's going to command a $15 price. It's what they sell for on Etsy. Unless your audience is used to paying more, people are always looking at certain items with a certain lens. This is the difference between selling a $15 product and having $7 margin, and selling that same product for $50 and having a $30+ margin. Again, this is all going to depend exactly on who your audience is, though, because you can't sell that $60 item to somebody that's only willing to spend $15. And by understanding who you're selling to, you're able to also determine who needs to make your products. You see, if you're selling on a marketplace and low cost, high volume is the play, then you can go to any manufacturer that provides that product. However, if you're looking to actually create an experience and build a brand, this is where partnering with the right manufacturer can make the biggest difference. When it comes to doing print on demand, a lot of print on demand providers are actually sourcing out the library that you see on their stores. They're not necessarily making them in-house. They're shipping them, the orders, to a company that's making them in-house, like Completeful. So the price difference with margins is really clear when you're working with a print on demand company who doesn't have it in-house and it's jobbing it out. And right now, I also want to stress the fact that if you're starting this from scratch, you should not go out and mass manufacture anything. In fact, you need to prove it out with print on demand before you actually start ordering from other suppliers. In this example, I created this logo for this video at the time, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But then this is what people had to say.
So somebody thought my design was a seal. You thought it was a penguin, somebody thought it was a seal.
I thought it was a penguin the entire time.
Again, guys, you got to put it out to the market, and that's the beauty about print on demand, though.
Now, when it comes to choosing your market, I hope that this pie actually helped you understand a little bit about niching down. However, it's important not to niche too far down. The niche itself is pretty broad, right? So like within streetwear, it's a pretty broad space. So instead of going to try to mimic somebody, just find a space that isn't as saturated. So those are things that you got to think about. You want to niche down, but you don't also want to be super niche, because then your market is limited. So it's a balance here. And right now you may be wondering, did you choose the right lane, or how do you choose the right lane to enter? Well, I would always advise that you dig deep and truly start to understand yourself. The more you understand yourself, the more you can understand the different audiences that you already connect to, right? When it comes to any niche or any person, you have different interests. So pick an interest, run the math, and then more importantly, don't forget these last words from Josh.
Go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll be able to see further. And it's not always about knowing exactly where you want to go. Like, if I told somebody, in a few years I'd be buying a Walmart, I would sound insane. I probably would have been insane for saying that. Never did that, did that ever even cross my mind. It was just putting one foot in front of the other. So it's just getting started is more important than anything else.
And as Josh mentioned, it's important to just start. And by starting with this one decision, it'll ultimately be the difference between having low margins and having high profit margins on every sale. The more you can understand your customer, the better you can dial in your design and offering. And more importantly, by partnering with the right manufacturer like Completeful, you're able to have that profit margin and really scale. And if you're looking to start a brand, make sure you check out our free templates as well as community in the description right down below. But if you already have a brand and you're looking to unlock your blocks and take it to that next level, then I invite you to join the Brand Accelerator, which we also link down there. And if you're a new viewer to this channel, hit that subscribe and check out this video where we dive into the step-by-step in starting your brand in 2026. See you there.